She arrived before the sun climbed over the city glass. The streets were quiet, washed clean by a light night rain. Amina stood beneath the tall silver sign that read Zoratech, smoothing the sleeves of her simple blue kurta and checking the printout of her resume one last time. Her shoes were polished, her hair tied back, her folder neatly labeled. She whispered a small promise to herself: she would let her work speak for her. She would answer clearly, listen carefully, and leave with dignity no matter what happened. Inside the lobby, the air felt cool and bright. A huge digital wall showed calm waves rolling over a dark blue screen. The front desk sat like an island of light. The receptionist looked up, her smile small and tidy. The woman's eyes flicked from Amina's face to her clothes to the worn edges of her folder. "Interview candidates," she asked, tapping a tablet. Amina announced her name and time. The receptionist nodded, then gestured toward a row of white chairs. "Wait there. Someone will call you," she said, her tone polite but thin, like a sheet of paper held at the corners. Amina took a seat and breathed out slowly. 2 other candidates sat nearby. Both wore sharp suits and glossy shoes that clicked against the tile when they shifted. They whispered about industry conferences and a project in Dubai. One of them glanced at Amina's folder with a quick, curious look, then smiled at his companion and lowered his voice further. Amina chose to keep her eyes on the large clock above the elevator, counting seconds like beads. She reminded herself that confidence does not have a dress code. It lives in preparation, in effort, in calm. An older man stepped through the revolving door, pushing a small trolley stacked with thick binders. He paused, unsure which direction to take. The receptionist was busy with a call, the security guard at the far door was helping someone sign in. Amina rose and spoke gently to the older man. "Which floor are you looking for?" He showed her a card that read Legal 17. She pointed to the right bank of elevators and pressed the button. When the doors opened, she helped roll the trolley inside, making sure the binders did not slide. The older man thanked her, his voice warm and grateful, then disappeared upward. When she sat again, the security guard at the far door looked over and gave a small nod, as if to say he had seen her kindness. Amina smiled back. Minutes stretched. The digital wall changed from waves to soft lines that traced the outline of a city, as if drawing it from air. A young intern with a badge that read Rahim Operations hurried past, carrying a box of cables. He glanced at the waiting candidates, looked at Amina's calm face, and then moved on, biting back a question he seemed not sure he should ask. A junior HR associate finally appeared, holding a clipboard like a shield. "Amina," he called. She stood, lifted her folder, and followed. The associate walked quickly and spoke without looking back. "You're applying for project coordinator, correct? Cross-functional team, tight deadlines, a lot of stakeholder pressure. It's quite a stretch." His words were not cruel, but they carried a shape that pressed down. Amina answered in a level tone, describing her past projects, the messy timelines she had rescued, and the dashboard she had built in a simple spreadsheet to track tasks and risks. He led her to a small waiting room outside a glass conference space. Inside, 3 people sat around a table, scrolling on their laptops. Through the glass, Amina could see a large screen with a slide that read Client Onboarding Delays. The HR associate looked into the room and then back at Amina. "Before you go in," he said, "tell me, do you feel ready for this pace? People burn out." Amina met his eyes. "I manage my energy," she said. "I plan, I communicate, and I ask for help when needed. I'm ready to work hard and work smart." He gave a quick, uncertain smile and opened the door. The hiring manager did not stand to greet her. He wore a dark jacket and a tired expression that seemed practiced. Another panelist, a product lead, typed on her keyboard and murmured, "1 second." The third person, a finance analyst, smiled kindly and slid a glass of water across the table. "Thank you for coming, Amina. Please have a seat. The hiring manager began without preface. We'll be brief, he said. Walk us through your last project. Keep it to 3 minutes. Amina adjusted her folder, opened to the first page of her portfolio, and explained her most recent work, how a team of designers and developers had fallen behind, how she created a simple weekly plan with checkpoints, how they caught up, how she reported status without drama. At 1 minute and 40 seconds, the product lead interrupted. Who wrote the risk plan? She asked. I did, Amina answered. It was basic. 3 top risks. Owners, dates, and a short note on mitigation. The hiring manager glanced at the product lead and made a short face, like he had heard this all before. Okay, he said, and what would you do if a senior stakeholder ignored your emails? Amina smiled very slightly. I do not rely on a single channel. I write a short summary email, but I also propose a 5-minute stand-up. If that fails, I ask a mutual colleague for an introduction, and I prepare 2 options so the stakeholder can choose. The finance analyst nodded, but the hiring manager was already moving on. What's your certification? He asked. None? Ah. He tapped a pen. We usually see candidates with more, let's say, formal exposure. The product lead asked about a technical term in a tool Amina had not used yet. Amina did not pretend. I have not used that tool, she said, but I learn fast. I can map the logic, and I've worked with similar tools. The hiring manager smiled thinly. Yes, yes. Everyone learns fast. His eyes skimmed over her resume and paused at the university name. Local program, he asked. Evening classes, Amina said. I worked during the day. He sighed, as if that answered something he had not asked. Show us your portfolio, the product lead said at last. Amina shifted forward, opening to a printed dashboard sample with color-coded rows. It was clean and clear: task, owner, date, status, risk, next step. She slid the page toward them. The hiring manager did not look down. Actually, he said, tapping his pen on the table twice, there's been a change. The role may be paused. He turned to the HR associate standing by the door. Isn't that correct? The associate blinked. The product lead frowned, surprised, and the finance analyst's kind smile faded in confusion. Through the glass, Amina could see another candidate being led toward a different room, resume in hand. I see, Amina said softly. She kept her face steady. Thank you for your time. She gathered her papers, careful not to crumple a single edge, and stood. The HR associate opened the door. In the small waiting room, his voice dropped. Please return to the lobby, he said, not meeting her eyes. We'll be in touch. He waved toward the hallway. Amina walked with measured steps, her back straight, her breath in even counts. She thought of one lesson from a mentor years ago: when rooms feel small, keep your manners large, they make space where there is none. In the lobby, the receptionist looked up and then back down at her tablet. Oh, she said, almost to herself. You're done. Amina nodded. She turned toward the doors. Excuse me, the receptionist called, we actually need you to wait over there, please. She pointed away from the comfortable chairs to a spot near the revolving door. It's policy. Amina moved as asked. The glass shimmered with her reflection: simple clothes, steady eyes. A delivery driver pushed through with a heavy cart of boxes, the wheel bumping at the metal threshold. 1 second, Amina said, holding the door while he pulled. The cart caught on the lip again, and she guided it gently, saving the boxes from a fall. The driver puffed out a grateful breath. You're a lifesaver, he said, then hurried on. The HR associate approached the desk, whispering to the receptionist. The receptionist nodded, then lifted her chin and signaled to the security guard. The guard, the same man who had seen Amina help the older visitor, walked over slowly. His face was kind, but careful. "Ma'am," he said, almost apologetic, "they're asking that I escort you out now." Amina blinked. "Is there a problem?" He looked back at the desk and then at her. "I don't believe so," he said, honest and gentle. "I think it's just standard." He did not sound convinced that it was. People in the lobby began to move with a sudden energy, as if a breeze had blown through. A pair of senior managers stepped out of an elevator. Someone mentioned a board session starting soon. The digital wall shifted to a crisp company logo. The guard held the door and kept his voice low. "I'm sorry," he said. "Truly." Amina felt something inside her chest press and then loosen. She nodded. "It's all right," she said. "Thank you for speaking kindly." She walked with him to the sidewalk, the city now awake and full of steps and horns and distant laughter. The air smelled faintly of rain and fresh bread from a shop nearby. Outside, she stood for a moment and let the building's reflection rise over her in the tower's glass, smooth and unruffled, like a silent answer. She sat on a low wall and placed her folder on her lap. She did not cry. She did not clench her jaw. She rested both palms on the folder and felt its steady weight. In her mind she rewound the interview like a short film. What had she done well? She had answered clearly. She had kept her ground. What would she do better next time? Perhaps bring a printed one-pager with the rescue plan visuals. Perhaps open with a 30-second summary, then details. Lessons, not wounds. Near the door, behind the glass, she saw the intern Rahim watching her with an expression that looked like worry and thought. He rubbed his temple, glanced toward the front desk, then back at Amina. Inside, the receptionist spoke to another staff member, smiling brightly now at someone new. The guard returned to his post, but he looked towards Amina's spot outside as if to make sure she was all right. Amina lifted one hand in a small wave, and he nodded back, a quiet promise that not everyone in this place had looked away. She took a pen and the back of her resume and wrote one line, careful and slow, "My value does not change because someone failed to see it." She dotted the last I, then set the pen down. Traffic swelled. A long black sedan turned the corner. The driver eased up to the curb while the lobby came alive again, people straightening jackets, someone adjusting a lanyard, a door opening and closing. Amina did not look up at first. She was busy returning her papers to the correct order, smoothing each page. Her phone, face down on the folder, buzzed against the cardboard edge. She flipped it over and saw his name, Kamal. A second buzz, a message. "You've got this. Proud of you. Tea on me tonight?" Amina exhaled, a small smile on her face, quiet as a secret. She typed a reply, "I'll be home soon," and then looked up as the sedan's door opened and a man stepped out. The lobby seemed to hold its breath. The receptionist stood straighter. The intern whispered something to no one in particular. Amina watched, calm and still, with no sense yet that the next few minutes would open a door much larger than the one she had just been led through. She rose from the low wall and adjusted the strap of her bag. The city was loud again now. A bird landed on the railing and then lifted off into the morning light. Amina slipped her phone into her bag, her face composed, her heart steady. She had promised herself she would leave with dignity, and she had kept that promise. Whatever came next, she would keep another, to be ready, to be honest, to be kind even in small things. The guard at the door caught her eye once more and offered a nod. She nodded back, grateful for that small human bridge in a place that had just felt cold. The glass doors whispered open behind her. Footsteps approached from the lobby, many at once. She did not turn yet. She did not know she was standing at the edge of a turning point, the kind that looks like an ordinary morning until it is not. Her phone buzzed again. She glanced down at the screen, and her smile softened. "You've got this. Proud of you." She closed her hand over the phone, holding the message the way a person holds warmth on a cool day, not knowing that the person who sent it was, at that very moment, stepping toward the doors of Zoratech and toward her. She stayed on the low wall for a minute and let her breath slow down. The paper in her folder kept its steady shape under her palms. The sentence she had written, "My value does not change because someone failed to see it," felt like a small light she could carry. She looked at the city moving around her and decided she would do 3 things before noon: send 1 thank you note to the panel for their time, apply to 2 more roles that fit her skills, and take a short walk to clear her head. She knew that staying calm was not the same as staying silent. It was choosing when and how to speak so her words could do real work. Inside the building, the meeting rooms on the 2nd floor were already filling up. In the glass room where she had just been, the panel now spoke about a client project that was behind. The product lead pointed at a slide that said onboarding delays, and the finance analyst tapped a cell in a spreadsheet where costs were rising. The hiring manager rubbed his forehead and said, "We need someone to organize all the moving parts, check tasks daily, and keep people updated without nagging them." It was the exact kind of work Amina had described only minutes ago. Irony, like a quiet echo, moved around the table, but no one named it. The security guard at the lobby door watched the flow of people and looked over at the front desk. He had a simple habit: whenever he felt uneasy about how a visitor had been treated, he wrote down the time in a short note so he would remember to bring it up later. He did that now. He noted the time Amina had been escorted out and wrote, "Candidate asked to stand by revolving door. No reason given. Spoke kindly." He slid the note into his pocket and returned his hands to their careful, still position. He was not a manager, but he cared about what a place felt like at the door. In his mind, that feeling traveled far. The receptionist scrolled through her tablet and adjusted a stack of visitor badges. She liked neat lines and quick answers. She told herself she was only following procedures, but a small, almost invisible frown touched her forehead when she thought of the moment she had pointed Amina to stand near the revolving door. It had been easier to say policy than to explain that she was worried the lobby would look crowded when a senior guest arrived. Easier, but not better. The thought faded when she saw a message flash on her screen: VIP arrival, 10 o'clock. Board strategy session, 20th floor. She sat straighter and checked the time. Rahim, the operations intern, hurried through the lobby with a coil of cable in one arm and a list of equipment in the other. He was new enough to notice small things that others ignored. He had watched Amina help the older visitor with the trolley earlier and had seen the way she steadied the delivery cart at the door. He had also seen the guard's careful expression when he was asked to escort her out. None of that felt like a danger. It felt like a person being handled as if she were a problem because she did not fit a picture in someone else's head. He did not know what to do about that, but he felt it. Outside, Amina took out her phone and opened her email. She wrote a short thank you note to the address listed on her interview invite. She kept her tone steady and professional. She thanked them for their time and added 2 sentences to make sure her work was clear. She linked to a simple sample of her dashboard and offered to share a 1-page rescue plan template if they were interested. She did not write about what had happened in the lobby. The note was not about blame. It was about leaving a true picture of her skill, in case the first picture had been blurry. She then opened a job board app and saved 2 postings that matched her experience. She set a reminder to tailor her resume for each one later in the day. She liked to work in small, certain steps when her emotions tried to run ahead. Little steps made a path. While she scrolled, a woman with a stroller reached for the heavy glass door and struggled with the angle. Amina slid the phone into her bag, stepped forward, and held the door at a wide swing so the stroller could pass without bumping. "Thank you," the woman said, smiling with real relief. Amina nodded and wished her a good day. Her phone buzzed again. She looked at the name and answered. "Hello," she said softly. "It didn't go as I hoped." She listened for a beat. No need to come down," she added, keeping her voice even. "I'm okay." I did my best. I'll try again elsewhere. She listened again, and a small smile touched her mouth. Tea tonight sounds perfect. She did not describe the escort or the thin tone at the front desk. She did not want to turn a hurt into a scene. She also did not want anyone to think she needed a door opened for her because of who she married. She wanted to stand on her own feet, on her own work. From the hallway inside, Rahim passed by the glass and heard just one word in her call, Kamal, before he turned the corner. The name jumped in his thoughts because of a memo he had read that morning. It was nothing secret, just a simple note about schedules. CEO, Kamal Rauf arriving 10:00 brief meet with board 20th floor. The clock on the wall showed 9:52. He told himself that the name was common, and it could be a different Kamal. He also told himself that none of this should matter for how a candidate was treated. Basic care should not depend on who knows who. He walked on, but the thought stayed with him. Back outside, Amina sat again and took out her small notebook. She liked paper lists because they calmed her mind. On the first line she wrote, 2 applications today. On the second line, update portfolio summary with 1 visual. On the third, walk 15 minutes. She added a short line at the bottom, call mama evening. She closed the notebook and looked up at the building. A faint reflection of the sky moved across the tall glass, turning it into a blue river for a heartbeat. She could see her own reflection, small and steady, and she gently nodded to it, like confirming a plan with a friend. Inside, the receptionist received another message about the VIP. She asked a facilities member to check the carpet runner, called upstairs to confirm the right conference room was ready, and aligned the visitor ledger with fresh pens. The lobby's energy shifted, the way rooms do when people expect something important to happen. The hiring manager from the interview room walked through, speaking to someone on his phone about a budget hole. The product lead followed, carrying her laptop pressed to her chest. Neither looked toward the door where Amina had stood. The finance analyst, however, slowed by the glass and looked out briefly. He remembered Amina's calm answers and the simple dashboard she had made. He wondered if anyone had really looked at it. The security guard stepped a few paces closer to the door and glanced toward Amina's spot outside. He could not leave his post to bring her water, but he pointed to the water station just inside and made a small "would you like" motion with his hand. Amina raised her palm in thanks and shook her head with a polite smile. She wanted air more than water. She wanted time to become clear again. The guard nodded and returned to his quiet watch. He had worked at many doors in his career. He knew that a lobby could be a kind of mirror for a company. People's first and last minutes often told the truest story. The delivery driver from earlier came back with paperwork. His pen had stopped working. "Do you have a pen?" he asked the receptionist. She gestured to the jar. They were all dry, somehow. The driver looked lost. Amina reached into her bag and held out her pen, the same one she had used to write her sentence in her list. "Keep it," she said when he tried to hand it back. He thanked her with a grin that felt like a small sunrise and pushed his cart toward the service elevator. Rahim, at a table near the wall, watched this small exchange and wrote a mental note to restock the pens himself later. A calendar alert popped up on several screens around the lobby, 10:00 executive arrival. The receptionist straightened once more, smoothing her jacket. She practiced a short greeting in her head, "Welcome to Zoratech." "This way, please." Rahim put down his coil of cable and checked that the badge printer had paper. The security guard scanned the street with a steady gaze. The hiring manager moved to the far side of the lobby and stood with 2 other managers as if to be seen near important moments. The air held a soft, crisp quiet. Amina did not stand to watch. She looked down at her folder instead and put her papers in order by topic: rescue plan examples, calendar templates, risk notes, and a small section with lessons learned. She believed that clear order was a kind of kindness to future work. It made time smoother. While she arranged the pages, she thought of one more thing she could do, send the intern a note of encouragement if she ever learned his name. He had looked concerned, and she wanted to tell him that noticing small unfair moments was not weakness. It was a form of strength that could keep a place human. Rahim refreshed his email and reread the memo. CEO arrival 10:00, do not cluster around the entrance. He looked up and saw that people were, in fact, clustering. He went to the front desk and said lightly to the receptionist, "Should we clear a little room?" She nodded, grateful someone had asked in a way that did not make it a fuss. They moved 2 chairs back by a few inches and guided a couple of curious employees to the side. No one said Amina's name, but several eyes slid past the glass to where she sat. Kindness can be quiet, and so can unkindness. Both were present in the space between glances. The security guard saw the car before anyone else did because he had trained his eyes not to jump. A long black sedan turned into the lane, smooth and unhurried. The driver signaled, pulled to the curb, and cut the engine with a small mechanical sigh. The building's glass caught the shape of the car and held it like a dark line across the blue. The receptionist inhaled once and put her fingers on the visitor ledger. Rahim set his coil of cable down and stood still, as if movement might ripple the moment. The hiring manager fixed his jacket and checked his tie in the reflection on a pillar. Amina felt the change in the air before she heard the door. It is strange how a room can tell you something even when you are outside it. The conversations inside slowed and then paused. The door motors hummed a little as if they were aware of their task. She closed her folder and placed it upright in her bag. She did not turn yet. She did not want to be part of a crowd looking at a car door. She wanted to remain herself, a person who had walked in for an interview and walked out with her head high. She pressed the top of her bag flat and looked up toward the sky's pale light. The driver stepped out first and moved around to the back door. He opened it with a practiced, respectful motion. The receptionist found her prepared smile. Rahim glanced from the open car door to the glass wall to the note he had seen earlier on Amina's phone screen when she lifted it, the message that had said, "You've got this. Proud of you." The security guard shifted his weight by half a step so he would be ready to hold the door at the right moment. The hiring manager stood a little taller than his normal height, as if a photograph might be taken. The back door of the sedan opened fully. A polished shoe touched the ground, then the rest of a figure rose, straightening with quiet certainty. The lobby held its breath. Amina, still outside and a few steps away, felt the motion behind her like the start of a new page being turned. She kept her eyes forward for one last calm second. She did not yet know how the next minutes would connect the quiet message on her phone to the air in the lobby, or how an ordinary morning would become a lesson for a building full of people. She only knew that she had done her part with care, and that whatever came, she would meet it the same way. The driver closed the car door softly. Footsteps began toward the entrance. The security guard reached for the handle on the glass door. The receptionist lifted the visitor ledger. Rahim took a breath, felt a thought click into place, and looked from the figure approaching to the woman outside who had helped strangers twice already today and had thanked people who had not thanked her. The lobby was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes when people understand something important is about to happen even if they cannot say what it is. The glass door moved on its well-oiled hinges. The day opened with it. The man who stepped from the car was tall and calm. He moved with quiet confidence, not with noise. He thanked the driver and walked toward the doors. The security guard reached forward and held the glass for him. The lobby stood still for a heartbeat, as if the air itself was waiting. Then the man looked up, and his eyes went past the reflections and the tidy desk and the shining floor. His eyes found Amina sitting on the low wall outside, hands folded on her bag, face steady. His expression changed in a small, honest way. Worry. Care. Relief. He stepped off his path and went straight to her. "Amina," he said softly, as if saying her name made the world right. She rose before he reached her. They did not make a show. They did not need to. He took her hand in both of his and searched her face. "How did it go?" he asked. She lifted one shoulder and smiled in a way that was brave and kind. "It did not go as I hoped," she said. "But I am all right." The security guard, still holding the door, saw this and understood something true in a single second. The receptionist saw it and felt her breath catch. Rahim, the intern, felt the pieces in his mind click into a clear picture. Inside, whispers started like small rain. "Is that someone?" said. "It's him," someone else answered. "CEO." The hiring manager near the pillar turned his head, then his shoulders, then his whole body. He did not step closer, but his eyes did. The product lead slowed near the desk. The finance analyst stood still at the edge of the rug, his kind eyes thoughtful. The HR associate swallowed hard and lifted his clipboard as if it could hide him. The receptionist set down her pen and smoothed the visitor ledger as if neat paper could erase the last hour. The man looked at Amina again. "Tell me if you want to go," he said in a very low voice. "We can leave. Tea at home. Quiet night." Amina shook her head. "No," she said gently. "I came to stand on my work. I want to leave with the same thing." "My work?" He nodded once. "Respect." He glanced toward the lobby and then back at her. "All right," he said. "Then I will do one thing. I will ask for fairness. Only that." Amina opened her mouth to say it was not necessary. But she saw his face, the careful line of his duty, and she closed her mouth again. She understood. He was not coming to rescue her. He was coming to repair the ground everyone walked on. They stepped to the door together. The guard held it wide. "Good morning, sir," he said, steady but warm. The man acknowledged him with a small nod that meant more than a yes. "Thank you," he said. Then he turned to the guard for a moment. "Were you asked to escort a candidate out?" he asked. The guard did not look to the desk for permission. "Yes," he said, clear and respectful. "I did so gently. There was no issue." The man's jaw tightened for 1 second, then relaxed. "I appreciate your kindness," he said. "Your job is not easy." The guard nodded once, grateful for the rare sentence that saw the whole of his day. They crossed the lobby together. The receptionist's prepared greeting turned into a quiet good morning, that felt thinner than before. The man paused and spoke in a tone that was calm but firm. "Good morning," he said. "Who is the most senior HR leader on site?" The receptionist blinked and found her voice. "Head of People Operations is on the 12th floor, she said. "Name?" he asked. "Miss Farah Moine," she replied. He nodded. "Please ask Miss Moine to join me in Conference B in 10 minutes, he said. "Also invite legal, the product VP, and the Director of Finance. And please send a note to the board that I will join the 10 o'clock session at 10:20. The receptionist typed quickly, fingers at a light staccato. "Of course," she said. The hiring manager started forward, then stopped halfway. He had the look of a person who wanted to be seen near the center but not inside it. The product lead glanced at Amina and then at the man, reading the space between them. The finance analyst gave a small nod to Amina, a quiet kindness that said he remembered her clear answers. Rahim stood near the badge printer with his coil of cable, watching not with thrill, but with careful attention, like someone learning the language of a place for the first time. The man turned to Amina. "Will you wait in that small lounge?" he asked, pointing to a calm corner with 2 chairs and a water station. "Not long," he added. "I will set a fair path and then step out of it." She agreed with a simple nod. She did not want a spotlight. She wanted a level floor. The security guard guided her to the lounge, then returned to his post. The receptionist called upstairs. Messages flew through the building like quiet birds carrying small notes. Conference B was a clear room with a long table and a screen on the wall. The man walked in and stood at the head of the table for a moment. He took out his phone and sent one message to one person: delay board start by 20. Will explain. Important. Then he put the phone away face down. He liked the feel of doing one thing at a time. Miss Fairmoyne arrived first, breathing lightly from a quick walk. She had a steady face and eyes that weighed details. "Good morning," she said. "What do you need?" He spoke without preface. "We need to correct our candidate experience," he said. "Now." The product VP stepped in, then the director of finance, then legal. They all took seats, surprised at the sudden call. The man did not sit. He spoke in clear lines, like a diagram drawn on a board. A candidate was told a role was closed while another candidate was called for the same role minutes later, he said. She was asked to stand by a door, then escorted out, without cause. This does not match our values, our policy, or our interest. It hurts people. It also hurts our reputation and our hiring results. We will fix it today. No one argued that the details did not matter. Faces showed a mixture of concern and self-check. Miss Moyne asked for the candidate's name and the team involved. He told her. "I want 3 actions," he said, raising one finger with each. First, a fresh interview process for the role with a neutral panel from outside the hiring manager's group. Also invite the top 3 candidates who were already screened, including Amina. Second, a same-day review of our lobby and reception handling for candidates. No one is to be asked to stand near a door unless there is an actual safety reason. No escorts unless there is a safety issue. If space is tight, we make space. Third, a simple candidate care checklist to apply today and every day forward. The product VP spoke. "I agree," she said. "We can supply 2 directors for the neutral panel." The director of finance added, "I will join as well, since budget concern was raised in the interview. I will judge only on skill." Legal nodded. "We must document this," he said. "And we must invite the original panel to submit notes, but they may not lead the process again this round." Miss Moyne wrote quickly and then looked up. "What about the lobby staff?" she asked. "We train," the man said. "Not to punish. To repair. But I also want a conversation today. People need to hear the principle while the moment is fresh." The hiring manager knocked on the door frame and hovered. "Should I come in?" he asked. The man looked at him with a level gaze. "Please sit," he said. The hiring manager sat down, his back a little too straight. He began to speak quickly about budgets and time and fit. The man lifted one hand and the words stopped. "You will have your say later," he said. "Right now I will say mine. We do not judge fit by shoes or by accents or by where someone studied at night. We judge fit by work, by judgment, by care, by the outcomes they can guide. A candidate was not given that chance. We will give it now. After that, the best person for the role will be chosen. If that is not Amina, so be it. If it is, so be it. But it will be fair." The room felt taller for a moment, as if honesty had opened a window. Rahim stood at the door with a small tablet. "Apologies," he said, almost whispering. "I brought a spare badge printer in case we need fresh visitor badges for candidates today." The man smiled. "Thank you, Rahim," he said, using his name with care. "Please also help set up the waiting area with water and a clear sign. And restock the pens." Rahim's eyes flicked in surprise at the last detail and then warmed. "Yes, sir," he said. The plan moved fast now. Miss Moyne sent a message to the neutral panel. The product VP and the director of finance confirmed a time slot 2 hours later. Legal drafted a short note to the candidates. The receptionist received a new guideline for the lobby and read it twice. The security guard received a thank you message for his professionalism, which he read slowly and then folded into his pocket as if it might be needed again. The hiring manager sat with an expression that mixed unease and thought. He was not used to being corrected on style, only on numbers. Today was a new lesson. Before he left the room, the man looked around the table. "One more boundary," he said. "Amina is my wife. Many of you already understood that. I will not be part of her interview. I will not speak to the panel about her. I will not be part of any performance review if she is hired. Our policy supports this. I am reminding us all of it now." He turned to Miss Moyne. "You own the process," he said. "Please invite all 3 candidates to present a short plan from the same prompt. Give them 30 minutes to prepare and 15 to present. Questions after. Keep the notes formal and clear." He stepped out and went to the small lounge. Amina looked up. "You stayed too long," she teased gently. He smiled. "I am late to the board," he said, "and exactly on time for this." He explained in simple words what he had done. He did not name people. He named only actions. Amina listened without interrupting. When he finished, she placed her hand over his for a second. "Thank you for asking for fairness," she said. "I still want to stand on my own feet." He nodded. "You will," he said. "You always do." Miss Moyne approached with a calm step. "Amina," she said, "you will receive an email in the next 10 minutes. It will invite you, and 2 other candidates, to a fresh interview with a neutral panel. Same prompt for all. Same time limits for all. We hope you accept." Amina looked at her and saw both structure and sincerity. "I accept," she said. "Thank you. There is a quiet prep room on the 6th floor," Miss Moyne added. "Water, paper, and a printer if needed. Please bring only your thoughts and any simple materials you like. We want to see how you think." The receptionist came by the lounge with a small tray of water. Her face was careful and honest. "For you," she said. "I am sorry for how I spoke earlier." Amina took the glass. "Thank you for saying that," she said. "Let us both have a better morning." The receptionist nodded, relief softening her shoulders. The security guard watched from a respectful distance, his thoughts calm now that the day had turned toward fairness. Rahim set up a small sign near the waiting area, "Candidate Lounge Welcome." He placed a fresh jar of working pens on the table. He printed simple directions to the 6th floor prep room and taped them neatly beside the elevator. He did these things the way Amina had organized her papers earlier: small steps, clear order, quiet care. It felt good to make a path smoother for strangers. It felt like the kind of job he wanted to have in his future. The man checked the time and exhaled. "I must go upstairs," he said to Amina. "The board will ask why I am late." Amina smiled. "Tell them you were fixing a process that touches every person who might join this company," she said. "That is a strategy topic too." He laughed once, softly. "It is," he said. He pressed his hand to his heart for a second, a private gesture, then stepped away. He did not look back because he trusted her to stand well without a hand on her shoulder. Amina rose and adjusted the strap of her bag. She looked toward the elevator bank. The building felt different now. Not perfect. Not complete. But different. The air held a kind of promise that had been missing when she first sat on the low wall. She walked to the elevators with a steady step. The door opened with a small bell. Rahim waved, then caught himself and lowered his hand, embarrassed. She smiled to ease him. The door closed, and the elevator lifted her toward a quiet room and a blank page. In Conference B, the leaders collected their notes. In the lobby, the receptionist updated a small checklist on her tablet. At the door, the guard made one last line on his paper slip: "Process corrected. Candidate invited back." People spoke kindly. He folded the note and placed it with the others, a small record of the day. The entry to the building became a little more like an open hand and a little less like a closed gate. On the 6th floor, Amina found the prep room. Sunlight lay across the table in a clean rectangle. There was a jug of water, a stack of fresh paper, and a simple clock. She set down her bag, took a slow breath, and opened her notebook. She did not think about the lobby anymore. She thought about the work. She thought about the prompt she might receive. She thought about people, tasks, dates, risks, and simple lines that connected them. She wrote a title at the top of the first page, Clear Plan. Calm Team. Honest Update. Then she smiled, just a little, and began. The email arrived with a soft chime. Amina opened it in the quiet prep room and read slowly, line by line, to be sure she understood every detail. The message was clear: a fresh interview with a neutral panel at noon. 30 minutes to prepare a short plan from a common prompt. 15 minutes to present. Questions after. A second line gave the prompt itself, written in plain words: a client onboarding was delayed, the team felt tired and scattered, the budget had little room, and a delivery date was at risk. The task was to show how she would stabilize the project in the first 2 weeks and set it on a path to complete on time. She set her notebook in the center of the table. Sunlight lay across the page. She wrote a simple heading: First 72 hours. Under it, neat bullets formed a steady ladder. Day 1, meet the team for 15 minutes, not to blame, just to hear one short sentence from each person: what is blocked, what is clear, and what one help they need. Map the current work, deliverables, owners, dates. Confirm the sponsor's exact goal and the single success measure that will be used at the report out. Day 2, agree on a definition of done for the next key milestone, set a daily stand-up for 2 weeks, and list the top 3 risks with 1 owner per risk. Day 3, publish a 1-page plan, set a weekly 15-minute update for the sponsor, and stop any extra tasks that are not tied to the milestone. She turned the page and drew a short, handmade timeline: 7 boxes for 7 days, another 7 for the next week. She added tiny symbols: a circle for a decision, a triangle for a risk checkpoint, a square for a delivery. It was not fancy, it was clear. Next, she wrote team care. She listed small, strong actions: Fridays, a 3-question polls to see if the team felt supported, a rule that meeting notes would be short and posted, a quiet no-shame window at the end of each stand-up where anyone could say, I need help, and get help. People work better when they feel safe and respected. She had learned that many times. She opened her laptop and built a simple 1-page dashboard: tasks, owners, dates, status lights, and next steps. No colors that shouted. Just signals that guided. She added a small section for blocked items with an escalation path: first talk to the person, then schedule a 5-minute check with the lead, then raise it in the daily stand-up with 2 options ready. She prepared a short email template for the project kickoff: clear subject, 2-sentence aim, 3 bullets for immediate actions, and a polite close that invited reply. She saved and printed 3 copies, then placed them beside the hand-drawn timeline. At 11:58, a knock sounded. Rahim stood there with a careful smile and a set of visitor badges. They're ready, he said. I can carry anything you need. She handed him the printed pages. Thank you, she said. These will do. They walked to the interview room. On the door, a small sign read: Neutral Panel Project Coordinator. Inside, 3 people waited: a director of operations named Lena, a director of customer success named Haroon, and an external advisor named Marta who had led projects at several firms. Their faces were open and focused. No one was checking a phone. Lena greeted her first. Thank you for being here, Amina, she said. We will run a simple, fair process. Same prompt for all candidates. We want to see how you think and how you would act. Haroon gestured to a whiteboard. You can present from your printouts or the board. Your choice. Amina chose both, the whiteboard for structure, the handouts for details. She wrote 3 words at the top of the board: clarity, rhythm, care, and then began. Her voice was steady and her sentences were short. She described the first 72 hours listening, mapping, agreeing on done, and setting the daily rhythm. She held up the 1-page timeline and pointed to the tiny decision marks. Decisions create speed, she said, but only when they are written down and shared. She explained the daily stand-up, no long speeches, just a list of yesterday, today, and help needed. She spoke of the top 3 risks and how each would have a named owner and a clear check-in time. She showed the email template and the simple dashboard. Lena nodded. Show us how you would run the first stand-up, she said. Amina walked them through it as if they were the team. Good morning, she said to the panel as if they were her colleagues. In one sentence, what you did yesterday, what you will do today, and where you need help. She kept time on her watch, as she would in real life. When Haroon, playing along, said he was stuck on a permission issue, she asked, do you need me to unblock that or can you pair with someone for 10 minutes after this? When Marta said a vendor had sent a new file with errors, Amina asked 2 crisp questions and then offered 2 options: get a clean file by 3 p.m., or proceed with the parts that were valid and mark the rest as pending, with a clear note to the sponsor. Haroon leaned back, pleased by the small, practical choices. What about a senior engineer who resists the new rhythm? He asked. Amina nodded, ready. I meet them for 5 minutes, she said. I listen first. I ask for their best idea to achieve the same goal with less pain. If their idea works, we test it. If it does not, I explain the reason for the rhythm and offer a short trial period with a time box. If they still resist, I keep the conversation on work, not on people, and I escalate with 2 clear options to their lead. She looked at the board. Speed matters, but respect matters too. We can have both. Marta, the external advisor, slid a new sheet across the table. Live exercise, she said with a kind tone. The sheet described a surprise vendor delay. A data import would fail unless a license was extended by 3 days. Legal needed to check the extension language, and finance worried about cost. The delivery date could slip. You have 5 minutes, Marta said. Tell us what you would do in the next 24 hours. Amina read the sheet quietly once, then again. She wrote 4 short lines on the board: key objective, blockers, options, owners. She restated the objective in her own words to confirm understanding. She listed blockers, license timing, legal review, and budget concern. Then she created 3 options: A. Rush license with a premium fee today, B. Agree a 3-day bridge with vendor at 0 cost while legal reviews the full amendment, or C. Pause the import and resequence the plan so front-end tasks move forward while data is held, accepting a small risk of rework. She placed a quick star next to option B, best path, she said. Ask vendor for a no-cost bridge while legal reviews. If they refuse, we have a pre-approved spend limit for option A. She assigned owners: vendor liaison for the bridge, legal for the quick clause check, finance for approval up to a small cap, and herself to send a 2-paragraph update to the sponsor by end of day. At 10 a.m. tomorrow, we confirm which path landed. If no path, we switch to option C for 2 days, keep the sponsor informed, and recover with an extra check on data quality. Lena smiled with her eyes. You are calm in the problem, she said. Thank you. Haroon asked about budget. How do you run lean? Amina pointed to her 1-page dashboard. We use what we have, she said. This can be done in a simple spreadsheet with 1 page visible to all. We set a small spend cap for urgent items and require 2 sentences of justification for anything above it. We book short windows, not long ones, and we stop any meeting that no longer needs all people. Marta looked at her with care. One more question, she said. The CEO is your husband. This is known. How will you keep work and home separate so the team feels safe? Amina met her gaze with quiet honesty. I will sign a conflict of interest note, and I will report to Lena if I am hired, she said. I will not use any personal channel for work. All meeting notes will be shared in the project folder. If a situation touches my home life, I will recuse and ask the director to decide. I want a fair job, not a favor. The panel exchanged brief looks that said more than words. Lena thanked her and asked if she had a final summary. Amina picked up her last page, a 30/60/90 outline. The first 30 days, stabilize, deliver the delayed milestone, set standard rhythms. Days 31-60, remove workarounds, review contracts, improve handoffs between teams. Days 61-90, report lessons learned, simplify templates, and hand over a clean playbook so the next project starts faster. Her time ended. Rahim stepped in to collect the printed handouts for the panel. Amina thanked him softly. She put her notebook away and stood. We appreciate your clarity, Lena said. Please wait in the lounge. We will see all candidates and then decide. Amina nodded and left the room, her step even, her mind free of extra words. She did not try to read faces. That was not her work. Downstairs, things moved too. Miss Faramoin met with the lobby team in a small, bright space near the windows. She spoke clearly about candidate care and the new policy. No one asked to stand by the door except for true safety, no one escorted out for convenience, and every person greeted with the same simple respect. The receptionist listened closely and then stood up to speak. I am sorry for how I handled the morning, she said. I will do better. The junior HR associate owned his part too. I asked for an escort because it was the easy option, he said. I will not do that again. The security guard shared his notes gently what he had seen and how it felt. The team agreed on a small checklist to use each day. Up on the 20th floor, the board session began late and then steadied. Kamal explained the delay in one clear sentence and then spoke about why fairness was not a soft side topic but a core part of results. If people trust the door, more good people will walk through it. If candidates feel respected, even those not hired will speak well of the company. The directors nodded and asked for a simple, measurable goal. They agreed to add a candidate experience score to monthly reports, using short feedback forms. It was not a big system. It was a small, repeatable step. Back in the neutral panel room, the second candidate presented. He had a strong list of certifications and spoke quickly. He liked well-known frameworks and used many terms. The third candidate brought a confident warmth and a deep list of vendor contacts. She offered a different rhythm with twice-weekly long meetings, which the panel discussed with care. Each candidate had strengths. The panel gave each the same time, the same exercise, the same questions. On the table lay 3 sets of papers. Amina's pages were simple and direct. The other sets were polished in different ways. All 3 could do the job. The question now was who would help the team breathe and move with the least friction and the most steady progress. Lena asked one final check. What if the sponsor asks for more features midstream? She had asked each person. Amina had said, we will write the request, size it, and place it in a later bucket unless it is tied to the success measure. If it is tied, we trade something out, not add. The second candidate had spoken about adding hours and weekend sprints. The third had offered to lean on vendors for a rush. The panel considered these answers in silence for a moment. They each wrote a line about strengths and a line about risks, then shared aloud. Amina waited in the lounge and did not pace. She sent a short text to her mother, interview done. I spoke clear. I am fine. A reply came with a heart and a simple line, proud of you, Beta. Tea ready anytime. Amina smiled and put the phone away. She looked at the small sign Rahim had made candidate lounge welcome and felt thankful for this single, sincere word. The hiring manager, who had been asked to sit out of the fresh process, walked past the lounge and paused. He had a paper in his hand, the start of a letter he would send to all candidates from that morning. He cleared his throat. "Amina," he said quietly, "I am sorry for how earlier went. I was hurried and not careful." She looked at him and gave a small nod. "Thank you for saying that," she replied. "I hope the new steps help every person who comes after me." He nodded again and walked on, a little slower than before, thoughtful in a new way. Time moved. Doors opened and closed. The neutral panel finished their notes. Lena gathered the scores and remarks. Haroon set his pen down and leaned back with a slow breath. Marta folded her hands and looked at the door as if measure and kindness could stand there side by side. Miss Moyne joined them to confirm the process had been followed fairly. They did not rush. They read their notes one last time to be certain. In the lounge, the air felt bright and still. Amina sat with her hands resting on her notebook, calm as the line of sunlight on the table. Her phone buzzed softly. A new email arrived. She glanced at the screen, then took one slow breath before opening it, ready to accept whatever came next with the same steady grace she had carried all day. The email on Amina's phone began with two simple words, "Thank you." She read the next line twice to be sure she understood. The neutral panel had finished all 3 interviews and reviewed their notes. They invited her back to Conference B to hear the decision. The message used clear language. It said the scoring was based on how each candidate understood the problem, how they would act in the first 2 weeks, how they handled the live exercise, and how they communicated under time pressure. It also said the CEO was not part of the decision, and that notes from all panelists would be saved for transparency. She stood, smoothed the cover of her notebook with one palm, and walked to the elevator. On the way down the hall, she passed a small window that looked over the city. For a moment she let her eyes rest there: blue sky, steady lines, a few birds. She whispered a small promise to herself, accept the result with grace, whatever it is. The elevator doors opened with a soft bell. She stepped in and pressed the floor number with a careful finger, as if pressing a note on a quiet instrument. Conference B felt calm when she entered. Lena, the director of operations, sat at the end of the table with Haroon and Marta. Miss Farah Moyne stood near the screen with a folder in her hand. There were no laptops open now, no fast tapping of keys, just faces ready to speak with care. Lena gestured to the chair opposite her. "Thank you for waiting, Amina," she said. "We will keep this brief and clear." Haroon began. "We used the same prompt, the same time, and the same exercise for all 3 candidates," he said. "We compared notes line by line. We looked for clarity, realistic plans, and steady handling of conflict." Marta added, "Each candidate had strong points. In the end, our decision was about fit for this exact situation. We need someone to bring order without heavy noise, to help a tired team breathe, and to finish the milestone on time." Lena folded her hands. "Our offer is for you, Amina," she said. "Project coordinator, starting Monday. The reasons are written in this decision memo. Your first 72 hours plan is specific and human. Your live exercise showed good judgment with 3 options and a preferred path. Your answers balanced speed with respect, and you set clean boundaries about your relationship to the CEO." She slid the folder forward. "This includes a conflict of interest acknowledgement. You will report to me. The CEO will be recused from your reviews and project decisions." For one small second, Amina did not move. Then she breathed out and felt her shoulders ease. "Thank you," she said softly. "I accept." She paused and lifted her eyes to Lena. "I have one request." Lena nodded. "Please ask," she said. "If it fits, we will do it." Amina chose her words with care. "I would like to help people operations create a short candidate care checklist," she said. "Not a big manual. Just simple steps so no one is told to stand by a door again for convenience." Miss Moyne's expression warmed. "Yes," she said. Please help us. We started a draft this morning. Your input would make it better. Harun pushed a small envelope across the table. Here is your temporary badge for the rest of today, he said. We will have your permanent one ready by Monday. Marta smiled with her eyes. Congratulations, she said. Your comm will serve the team. Amina thanked them again and stood. She kept her voice even, but her heart felt like it had found a steady shore after long swimming. Outside the room, Rahim was waiting with his tablet and a happy, nervous energy he could not hide. Is it good news? He asked, then caught himself. Sorry, you don't have to say. Amina smiled. It is, she said. Thank you for the pens and the sign. Those were small, strong things. Rahim grinned. I will keep doing them, he said. They make the day feel right. She did not look for Kamal. She did not need to. She sent one short text, offer made. I accepted. Reporting to Lena. Thank you for asking for fairness. His reply came back with the same care as his morning message, proud of you. I am recused and cheering from far. Tea still on me. She slipped her phone away and walked to the lobby with a quiet step that matched her thoughts. At the front desk, the receptionist stood when she saw Amina. Congratulations, she said, honest and clear. And thank you for accepting my apology earlier. Amina nodded. Thank you for saying it, she replied. We will all do better together. The security guard gave a small salute from his station. Welcome back, he said. Good to have you. His words were simple, but they lifted something in the room, the way a window lifts a curtain to let in light. Monday came like a crisp page. Amina arrived 10 minutes early, badge clipped, notebook ready. Lena met her by the elevators and walked with her to the project area. We will start with a 15-minute huddle, Lena said. Just like you described. The team waited in a curved space with white boards and a half-circle of chairs. Their faces showed weariness and hope. A senior engineer leaned against a column with folded arms, protective but not unkind. A designer rubbed her eyes and smiled when she saw Lena. A data analyst kept tapping a foot, as if trying to match the beat of a song he could not hear yet. Amina set the tone with one sentence. We will fix the plan without fixing blame, she said. Today we listen. Tomorrow we move. She held up 3 fingers. One sentence each, what you did yesterday, what you will do today, and where you need help. She kept time. She wrote names and blockers on a small list. When the senior engineer said he did not like daily stand-ups, she met him after the huddle. Give me 5 days, she said. If it wastes your time, I will change it. If it helps, we keep it. He agreed with a cautious nod. By noon, the team had a clean map of deliverables, owners, and dates. They agreed on a shared definition of done for the next milestone. Amina sent a short email to the sponsor, aim, status, top risks, next steps. She kept it to 6 lines. She reached the vendor by phone and secured a 3-day bridge at 0 cost while legal reviewed the longer amendment, her preferred option B. She booked a 15-minute check for the next morning. She created a calm rhythm where disorder had lived, not with force, but with steady, transparent structure. On the second day, she used her no-shame window at the end of the stand-up. A junior developer said quietly that he had been stuck for 2 days on a script but felt embarrassed to admit it. Thank you for saying that, Amina answered. Pair with Sarah for 15 minutes after this. If it still blocks you, we escalate. The developer looked relieved. Sarah gave a thumbs up. The senior engineer watched, then asked a crisp question about another task that had been drifting. Amina answered with the same calm fairness. He began to lean in, not away. By Friday, the milestone that had seemed slippery felt solid underfoot. The sponsor wrote, "This is the clearest update I've seen in months. Keep going." Lena forwarded the note to the team with 2 words, "Well done." People sat straighter. The data analyst, whose tapping foot had been nervous on Monday, tapped now with energy that felt like music. Culture shifts, like projects, move by small steps. In the lobby, the receptionist created a new habit of standing up for every candidate, even when busy, and offering the same friendly sentence, "Welcome. We're glad you're here." She spoke it in the same tone to everyone, no matter their clothes or accent. The junior HR associate started a daily check with security, any concerns at the door. The guard kept his notes, but they began to read like simple stories of care: helped a visitor find the right floor, offered water to a nervous candidate, moved a chair to make space for a wheelchair. Rahim turned his sign-making into a tiny system: clear labels, working pens, tidy corners. People smiled when they saw the quiet order. People Operations launched the candidate care checklist Amina had asked for. It fit on one page. It said, greet by name, offer a seat, never ask anyone to wait by the door, give clear directions, thank each person for their time, and follow up with an honest note even if the answer is no. It also said, if something goes wrong, own it and repair it that day. The checklist was not a big policy book. It was a mirror the company could look into each morning. The board received a short report at month's end. It showed the new candidate experience score from simple feedback forms. The number rose from its first reading to a higher one, small but real. Comments from people who did not get the job were respectful: "I was treated kindly, the process was fair, I would apply again." The directors nodded. A line graph cannot capture the whole of care, but it can honor the work of building it. The hiring manager who had once waved off Amina's portfolio sent a letter to all candidates from that day, apologizing for the mixed messages and the poor experience. He kept the letter short and clear. He asked for feedback on how to do better. He also asked Lena if he could shadow 2 of Amina's stand-ups to learn. He took notes. He stopped saying everyone learns fast with a thin smile. He began to ask, "What do you need to learn this?" in a tone that made room. Amina mentored Rahim on small process fixes. Together they created a simple first-day guide for new interns: where to find tools, who to ask for help, how to write a crisp update. Rahim printed it and tucked it into neat folders. Lena noticed and sent him a small recognition note with a copy to his university program. He read it twice and saved it in a place he would keep for years. At home, evenings stayed gentle. Amina and Kamal kept their boundary: no work details at the table. They spoke instead about values: fairness, clear words, steady effort. They drank tea and laughed softly about small things. On the night the milestone shipped, Kamal lifted his cup. "To a good outcome done the right way," he said. Amina lifted hers. "To the team," she answered. They did the work. Weeks later, the project finished on time. The sponsor wrote a thank you that mentioned not only the delivery but the way people felt during the work. The senior engineer who had resisted daily stand-ups came by Amina's desk and said, "That 5-day trial you asked for? Keep it. It works." He smiled in a plain, true way and walked back to his tasks. The junior developer who had been stuck sent a short message: "Thank you for the no-shame minute. It changed my week." The security guard greeted Amina each morning with the same respectful nod that had held the lobby together on that first hard day. Sometimes he asked how the team was doing. Sometimes he just said, "Good morning," with full meaning. The receptionist kept the pens filled without fail. Candidates came and went. Some were hired, some were not, but all left with a sense that the door was a door and not a wall. On a quiet afternoon, Amina walked past the glass where she had once seen her reflection and all the judgments around it. She paused for a breath. The glass still showed the city, tall and bright. It showed her 2 simple clothes, steady eyes, a notebook under one arm. It also showed something that could not be seen on that earlier morning: the shape of a place, learning to treat people with dignity not because of who they knew, but because of who they were. Her lesson from the whole journey was simple and strong. Do not judge by appearance. Do not rush to know because it is easier than listening. When care is built into the first minute, better work grows in the hours that follow. Fairness is not only kind, it is efficient. It saves time. It keeps good people. It makes room for honest mistakes and quick repairs. And it lets someone like Amina walk into a room with nothing more than a clear plan, a calm voice, and a steady promise to do the work well, then walk out with results that speak for themselves. She wrote that lesson on the first page of a fresh notebook: clarity, rhythm, care, respect for every person. She closed the cover and smiled. The day moved on with the soft, confident steps of a team that had found its pace. And the door, once a place of doubt, had become simply what it should be: an open way in, and an open way out, for anyone ready to bring their best.